All right, welcome back to Legacy of Lies. In the early 1950s, at the height of the Cold War, the CIA became obsessed with terrifying possibility that America's enemies had mastered the art of mind control. Fearing Soviet and Chinese brainwashing techniques, CIA Director Alan Dulles greenlit one of the most infamous programs in American intelligence history. In 1953, Project MK Ultra was born. At the center of it all was a mild-mannered chemist named Sidney Gottlieb, later dubbed the Poisoner-in-Chief. Gottlieb and his team launched an umbrella of roughly 150 sub-projects, secretly funding universities, hospitals, prisons, and even pharmaceutical companies. The goal? To find ways to control human behavior through drugs, hypnosis, psychological torture, and more. They flooded the program with LSD. The CIA bought up much of the world's supply and even had Eli Lilly manufacture more. Agents slipped the powerful hallucinogen to unwitting Americans in bars, parties, and CIA-run safe houses. One notorious operation, Midnight Climax, used prostitutes to lure men into apartments where they were dosed and watched through two-way mirrors. But it went far darker. In Montreal, psychiatrist Donald Ewan Cameron, working under Sub-Project 68, performing depatterning on mental patients. He put them into a drugs-induced comas for weeks, blasted them with massive doses of electroshock, and played repetitive audio messages for up to 20 hours a day in an attempt to wipe their personalities clean and rebuild them from scratch. Many victims suffered permanent damage. Prisoners, soldiers, mental patients, and even some of their own employees became test subjects, often without any knowledge or consent. One tragic case. Army scientist Frank Olson was secretly given LSD at a 1953 retreat. Days later, he fell to his death from a New York hotel window. His family only learned the truth decades later. By 1973, as the Watergate scandal threatened to expose government secrets, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered most of MK Ultra files destroyed. Gottlieb and his team shredded thousands of documents, but they missed some. In 1975, the Church Committee and Rockefeller Commission began investigating intelligence abuses. Then in 1977, a FOIA request uncovered a forgotten cache of 20,000 documents. The public finally learned the shocking truth. Congressional hearings followed. CIA officials admitted to the experiments, the lack of consent, and the ethical horrors. The program was officially shut down. Through the full extent of the damage and how many lives were ruined remains unknown because so many records were destroyed. No high-level officials ever faced criminal charges. MK Ultra produced almost no useful mind control techniques. Sidney Gottlieb himself later admitted it was filled with failures. Yet the program became a permanent stain on the CIA's reputation and a symbol of what happens when national security feels override basic human rights. It also helped spark the 1960s counterculture unexpected ways. Some unwitting test subjects like Ken Kesey. He went on to spread LSD through the hippie movement. Today, the surviving documents sit in the CIA's FOIA reading room for anyone to read. They serve as a chilling reminder. Sometimes the greatest threats to freedom don't come from our enemies, but from our own government. That's the story of MK Ultra, a real-life chapter of Cold War paranoia that still echoes today. And that's our cold open, guys. What does that make you think?
That was the most fucked up start to the episode.
Right, 100%.
I think we should start off. I'm one of your hosts, Gabe, here with Pat again, and then we do have another guest host today.
I'm Zach.
Looking forward to talking about some fucked up shit. The one thing that made me think in that is where they say that it produced almost no useful mind control techniques. I don't know if I believe that.
Right.
Or that they ever stopped.
It seems like whenever there's like a program like that and it gets brought up and everybody's aware of it, like and they say, "Oh, it stopped," or "We're going to stop it," and it stopped. They just change the name and they just continue on. And it's
Right.
like, how many different like UFO programs are there? ATIP and all the other ones.
Right. Yeah.
So they just change the name and continue on.
Right. Yeah. It goes underground essentially. I think I feel like when they say it ended in 1977 or whatever it is, that's probably when it went like even to a blacker project and they invested more money. That's my thoughts.
No, I agree.
That's when it became real. I think that them saying that it's done or whatever should be a trigger that it's probably just really begun. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like they can come out and say that it was successful because they're trying to race Russia, China, all these other countries. What are they going to do if they come out and say, "Yeah, we figured out how to fucking mind control"?
Yeah.
Like they're never going to say that. It doesn't matter how successful it is. They're never going to come out and say that.
Well, and the fact that during those congressional hearings, they actually admitted to a lot of bad stuff. I mean, you could take that a couple of ways. Either, hey, they're really trustworthy and they're admitting that they're messed up, or they're admitting to stuff that is nowhere near as bad as what's actually going on.
Yeah.
That way they can say they didn't lie, they were honest.
Right.
But the reality is it's probably deeper and darker.
Yeah.
So when I was putting this together, just that like cold open, which we've never really tried before, but thought this was a creepy enough story to go with. That was a long read for me, it's like several paragraphs. But this was such a condensed version. There's so much other stuff.
Well, there's so many programs that come, like you even talked about the umbrella programs and stuff. There's so many other things that come out of it that like really don't even have anything to do with their original intent. Like there's you get like the not just the mind control stuff, but then you also have the remote viewing shit that kind of came out of that. So like Project Stargate, and I did a lot of research on that coming up for this podcast, and it seems like when these guys were doing this stuff, they had a really wide viewpoint of what they were trying to achieve. It wasn't like they were just looking at doing like specifically mind control. They were looking at making Manchurian candidates. Mm-hmm. That was one of the big things. So they were looking at assassinating people, ways they could get that done. They were looking at ways that they could remote view and gather intelligence. They were going in 100 different directions trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So like another I guess it would be a sub program or whatever. There was a time when it was Pat Price. He was a remote viewer, like one of the best ones they had. He went up somewhere into like southern Canada, just above Michigan, and he like broadcast like thoughts to like people in, I forget if it was the UP or if it was Lower Michigan, that they should submit their tax forms at like a post, like a certain box in like, it was like Virginia or something, nowhere close. And like over 50% of people, I think, did.
That's crazy.
Dude.
So like the mind control thing, like just like broadcasting thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's even possible, but it worked.
Yeah.
And like to just like trying to figure out how they can use something like that to like manipulate people. Obviously the lion's share of people in that area were just like, oh yeah, let's just do this. That sounds like a good idea. Like I mean, you have to drive it, right? You're not going to mail it to another mailbox.
Right.
They drove down there.
That's fucking insane.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
I mean, what year? That was like in the 70s or
late 60s, early 70s? Something like
I can't remember.
There's been so many different programs that they've done like over the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Every time I think of those stories, and I'm like, how? That's impossible. And I think, well, it was 60 years ago. What do you think's going on now?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, like, you look at again, this is a tangent, but you look at everything that we consume, all of our food, music, everything could have layers and layers of all this shit programming people. And
for sure.
And, back like in the, probably as early as the 80s, there were some like underground radio people who talked about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And, they'd wind up being like the cuckoos or labeled that way. And, they get mocked and all that stuff. But now you have a bunch of podcasts And a lot of people talking about this shit because you start to realize just, I think, the results of like our world and the state things are in, that there's got to be something. There's got to be something.
Oh, right.
100%. Yeah.
There's so much shit going on, even now, that it's like every time that we talk about something like this, it's like, oh, this happened in like 1972, and it wasn't declassified until like 2001. And then now we're just talking about it 25 years later. And it just makes you think what is happening now that we have no fucking clue about. And it's not like the CIA or the DIA or any of these intelligence agencies just stopped doing experiments on people.
Right.
Like there's no chance that happened. So it makes you think. I mean, there's a story that I remember from MK Ultra where I forget, I think it was McMonagle. It might have been Pat McMonagle, who they were asking him to do
Joe.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Joe McMonagle.
Yep.
You're right. They were doing a remote viewing session, and they were looking for Russian intelligence, like trying to figure out Russian military secret stuff. And they had some preliminary intel that said that the Russians were working on a submarine. It was a new style, and they didn't tell him anything going into this remote viewing session. They just gave him like a general location. And he came back in, and it was, nobody had ever done it before, but the new submarine design was like 2 submarines next to each other that were fucking like bridged together. It was like a dual sub. And he went in and he basically laid it all out, what it was. It's like several hundred feet long, 2 subs next to each other, one, and like nobody believed him. And it was like months later, they finally actually verified that that was exactly what it was. And he was right the whole time. And it's like, how could you explain that from a normal, like there's no non-supernatural fucking explanation for that.
What do you think that, what do you, like both of you guys, what are your, I know it's not MK, well, it probably is MK Ultra somehow, but like that, you know, the astral travel or what's the term you just used? Where they're
remote viewing.
Remote viewing. What do you think allows that? Like, I'm talking like physically. Do you think it's like just energy transfer?
I think you're tapping into like the main consciousness. Like I think that
type of thing.
Yeah, luminiferous ether, whatever you want to call it. I think that we all kind of share a bandwidth. Like like a Wi-Fi signal is like 2.4 gigahertz or whatever, or 5 gigahertz. I think that most of humanity shares a bandwidth of frequency.
Harmonic frequency.
Yeah, like you talk about where people can go to like their mind palace and they can access information like the Akashic records, where like you didn't know this, you didn't learn it, but you can get to a state in your mind where you can go there and you can pull out that information. I think it's something like that. I think anything that anybody has seen before, you can see if you can get in the right state of mind.
I mean, just think about how many times you've been just thinking about like a buddy or a friend or whatever, a family member that you haven't seen in a long time. And like that day or within minutes, like you get a call or a text from that person. Yeah. Like that's happened to me so many times. And it's like, that's so crazy. I was just thinking of you or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
There's something there that like most people maybe subconsciously tap into a little bit, but some people just found a way to like do it often. And they end up being the remote viewers like McMonagle or Pat Price or what have you.
There was, my wife sent me a video of a female remote viewer. I didn't look her name up, but I'd love to give her credit just because I've watched a few of her interviews on other podcasts. And she's done like all of her stuff. She's been like double blind studied on, and she's 100%.
Is this the Oprah lady that just did a thing on Oprah? Okay, gotcha.
It's crazy, man. I mean, like I believe, you know, she kind of talked about how she prepares for a session, and they take like an hour or 2 each, and she will like, you know, I think there's a lot to do with like breath work and breathing. Mm-hmm. You got to get your body to like a certain state. And then one thing she said like that really put over the top was you have to be like, while you're meditating or whatever you want to call it, aware of like every feeling in your body, every itch, tingle, every sound, everything externally. You have to be aware of it, but not let it affect you. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I definitely, like in my morning time, part of what I do is like, you know, pray and meditate. It's just every morning. And so I've been kind of trying to like do that, like, and it's not easy. Like, this ADD brain is just going 100 miles an hour to try to calm it down. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that can be learned though. I think you can definitely learn it.
I think it's like based in meditation. I don't know if any of you guys have, other than, I know you've done some dabbling with it. Have you ever done any meditation?
No, I have not.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they try to teach you when you're learning it, is like you acknowledge, like you try to quiet your mind, right? Like
Sure.
You're just not thinking of anything. Which
I could do that easy.
Done.
Like when I want to go to bed, like I lay down and like literally 20 seconds later, I'm sleeping.
You're probably really good at that,
Yeah.
honestly. But yeah, like when you have like an external stimulus, like if you're trying to quiet your mind and you get like your head itches or whatever the fuck, the idea behind it is you're supposed to acknowledge it, but not think about it.
Yeah.
And then not let it bother you. Same with pain. That's why like fucking East Asian monks can like light themselves on fire and not fucking feel it. Because they're
bonkers.
Their mind is so trained to just acknowledge it but not feel it. And I think that's how they go out of body too.
Yeah, that's something to think about, man. Like you could take that in a lot of different directions, and like the conspiracy theorist in me is like, do they have those capabilities? Or is like big government programming those people to do that type of shit?
No, I know.
That's like the question everything type of things that I think about.
It's like looking back to the MK Ultra we're talking about. The other thing that from your cold open that I don't have any specific stories from it, but I wanted to touch on it. The mass drugging of civilians with no foreknowledge on their part, and then you look at something like that was not too dissimilar, the Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah.
You guys heard about this?
Yeah.
Where there was black men from the South that were going in to get treated for syphilis, and basically the doctors made them into an experiment and just wanted to see what would happen long term if they just didn't fucking treat syphilis.
That's crazy.
And of course they all died, horrible deaths, but like that's your government. That's the Watergate era government. And there's no way it's any better now.
Well, I think people like that, they justify it because it's in the name of science. And science is like a religion for these people. It's like a cult. I mean, I'm not saying science is fucking wrong. A lot of stuff's right, but these people who do those experiments, they don't have issue with that. They think this is in the in the interest of progress and development. And they would probably look back and say, well, now we know more.
Right. Well, they wrap it in the flag.
At the course of a human soul, which is messed up.
It's fucked up. Where do you draw the line? Because they, like you said, they
kittens. That's where you draw the line.
Fucking
no dogs.
Yeah, dude, no dogs. I'm okay with some cat torture. Not the dog stuff. No, they justify it for the greater good of science. They wrap themselves in the flag. You hear the interviews from these CIA people, and they're always talking about the greater good of the country, forgotten country, whatever. It's not for either of those things. Like they're tricking themselves, and it's almost like they're getting programmed in the CIA, in the intelligence agencies to do this stuff. And that's why I don't even blame a lot of the ground level agents for some of the shit that happens, because once you go to the farm, you end up in Langley, like they drill that shit into your head.
Yeah.
And they program you to do this horrible stuff that you would never do if you just like joined the normal military or whatever. Like you're just a normal American.
Well, I mean, look at any career you could choose. When you start at a new company, they have their mission statement, and it gets pounded into your head, right? I mean, that's like your Pledge of Allegiance is like a company's mission statement,
right?
And pretty soon you're believing it, and typically they're built off of very good moral things,
right?
So now put in the place the federal government, who has unlimited funds to brainwash you to think that what you're doing in their mission's right. I mean, that's why little kids are being like fucking smuggled and trafficked and murdered and raped, because it's allowed. Yeah,
well, people tolerate it. People at the top tolerate it. It's like, you guys ever hear we're not too far away from Mayo Clinic, like the experiments that the Nazis ran in World War II. You familiar with any of this stuff? Yeah. So, horrible shit, like separating twins and torturing them separately, hammering a kid to death in a chair with an automatic hammer, like horrible, despicable shit. And that stuff, when the Allies captured it towards the end of World War II, they kept it all. It was all scientific experiments. There was how long can you survive in ice water until you die of hypothermia, shit like that. And it's all in a big record at the Mayo Clinic, and they have a council of people that sits on this council year round, and their only purpose is for if somebody wants to access that information, they vote on whether the information should be used or not.
Wow.
You ever heard that story?
No.
It still goes on today. They have it all. All of the Nazis' research is just sitting at Mayo Clinic, and it's been accessed dozens of times. So think like they don't want to incentivize people to do horrible shit, but they still use this 80-year-old information that they learned from torturing kids.
Do they make public who has accessed it?
Sure not.
There is some records, but
Some,
no.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's not like they do a fucking press release. They're like, oh yeah, this company just,
No, I know, but like, I wonder if that's, if they have any like privacy laws for something about torture, like, well,
right.
This is HIPAA. We can't tell you who's looking at murder porn. You know what I mean?
Well, and they don't have to make other archives. Like this was found out. Like it doesn't have to be public. So is there other councils for horrible testing that was done for accessing it? Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. I'd be curious to see the list of the people, because I'm sure it's like, billionaire world leaders. I mean, because they're not letting Jeffrey Dahmer access this list. You know what I mean?
No, this is the Epstein people for sure.
Yeah.
This is
these are the elites
people that fucking don't deserve to see it anyway. But you're probably using it for horrible shit too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, every time I tell that story, I feel like a lot of people don't know that.
No, I've never heard that.
No, I actually haven't either.
Yeah, I'm gonna look quick. I can
died a little bit inside when I heard that.
Dude, there's no
hammering a human being to death.
Yeah, it's
for the purpose of science. Well, then, what did the United States do? We took all those scientists and used them.
Paperclip.
Project Paperclip. That's bonkers.
Yeah. Oh, Alan Dulles did some fucking terrible shit.
Yeah.
That guy's story. We could do an entire episode on just Alan Dulles.
Oh, 100% you could. I mean, the fact that when JFK fired him, he was basically still unemployed running the CIA.
That's crazy.
From the outside.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole... the first hit on here when I put it in is the Jewish Virtual Library, Nazi Medical Experimentation, the Ethics of Using Medical Data from the Holocaust. It's fucking terrible. Yeah.
So you say it's housed at Mayo?
Yeah, that's who is like entrusted to keep. I'm sure it's on a server somewhere, a lot of it. But,
right.
That's
in the cloud.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mayo, there was a side story here, but there was like an elk farm down by Mayo, and they were trying to buy the property, and they wouldn't sell. And then shortly after, I think all the elk ended up with CWD and had to be killed.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, if they unknowingly are poisoning people, those elks, that was just a walk in the park.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's simply,
I did not. I mean, I knew you'd driven past the elk farm.
Yeah.
Right by Rochester, right?
Yeah, it's on the way down on
I've driven past it
highway
a couple times.
Yeah, it's huge. I did not know that they all died. That's crazy.
I'm just doing some research. You guys, I can't remember if it was Frank Olson, the guy that he was, wasn't he like Secretary of the Navy or something? He was super high up in the military. He was the guy that jumped out of the window.
Oh, yeah.
Quotation marks.
The window he could barely fit through.
Yeah. That like somebody had been there the same day and
he was in the cold open. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dude. His family had visited him like the same day and he was totally fine. He was like writing poems and shit, was all happy. And then supposedly he killed himself at the end of the night.
I don't remember, but I know when I was pulling this up, the amount over like the standard dose of LSD they gave him, and it was insane.
It was like 10x, I think.
Yeah, no, it was like 300x.
Oh, was it?
It was really bad. Yeah, I'll look it up. I'm curious.
They were just. They didn't even know. The other thing to take into account is that LSD was pretty new at the time. Like they didn't really know what a fucking like heroic dose of LSD was back then. They were just experimenting on these fucking people. Like they had no clue. there's so many, like we talk about in the open, how many different programs came out of MK Ultra, and I guarantee you, there's dozens that we don't even know about yet. You got the Stargate stuff with the remote viewing. You have all the LSD experiments. You have there's psychological and sexual torture experiments where that's all they did was just torture people to see how far they could push them before their bodies and mind broke.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm curious about that, because you look at a lot of the stuff that's in the news today about like what's that, Pizza Planet or whatever.
Pizza Planet or fuck, the one in DC, right?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like
What's that called?
Well, maybe
I'm sure it's where like they're, it's like ping pong. What the fuck is that called?
I'll look it up. Pizza restaurant.
Oh, is this there's like a pizza joint, but there's like something downstairs?
Yeah, this is like where like people say like Hillary Clinton and
yes,
like did some evil shit.
Yeah, I have heard of that. Yeah.
Why can I not? Comet Pizza?
Comet Pizza.
Yeah, but there's some other. But anyways, so you think about all the rumors of these these elite freaks that are doing horrendous stuff to people, and usually children, unfortunately. But did they learn that stuff from MK Ultra? Like when they were doing these little things, did they realize, oh, this makes adrenochrome,
right?
And it's even better than LSD.
Right.
It was learned from somewhere. They didn't just happen to, torture people.
Well, that's one of the theories, is that a lot of the people that are committing these horrible acts today were made in MK Ultra, or like that's how they were programmed to do this shit. And there's like a grand plan that we don't know about. This is like borderline like Q shit, but who knows? And then I always wonder, and I know you guys have thought about this too, but is there like a biblical connotation to?
I was just gonna say that, because obviously MK Ultra, this weird stuff they do, it's like, where do they pick that? Like, how far back does it go to the start? Did they pick this stuff up in like ancient stuff that they've like picked up?
I think so, for sure.
Well, right, and this probably has to be the case, and they just throw a new name on it. But like, that came from somewhere,
right?
That
is it
had
satanic,
knowledge,
or is it even more ancient? Is it like runic, ancient, Punic shit?
Right.
I don't know if there's a right answer.
Well, this is how I feel. So this isn't what I think is right. But I think seriously it goes back to Cain and Abel. I think it goes back to like just evil. Good versus evil type of shit, or the serpent, giving.
So what's
Eve
the purpose of it? Is it just to create negativity?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what the purpose is, but I think that's like the root of this bad shit. It's just, I think there's obviously deranged people and all that stuff, but I think the root of it all is just evil, like devil-y type crap.
Yeah.
Wanting to, I don't know what the story is. I'm not sure if it's, because Satan's stuck on this. I don't know. I don't know why it continues to be allowed. I think, like, for me personally, the way that I don't let it like destroy me to think about all this evil is that our time on earth is really just a blip, and like eternity is coming next, and that's where things will be, amazing in heaven.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I look at this kind of like just life in general, however many years you're here, 30, 40, 80, is like basically a job interview for where you're going to end up.
Yeah. That's a good way to think of it.
How are you going to be here is how you're going to be distributed in the afterlife almost.
This is totally off topic, but on the topic of the afterlife, what do you guys think like physically heaven is? I've always wondered. Because I don't think it's like in the fucking clouds, like you're walking around in robes and stuff, like, or even what, like you say heaven, but really it's just like the immortal plane after you die, right? I've always wondered that, like, is it just a place that your soul goes where everybody's happy? Or do you like live a normal life in heaven when you're there? Do you have like a house and shit?
See, that's why I wanted to do, or eventually we're going to do a podcast just on NDEs.
Yeah.
Like near-death experiences, because I can't remember. I think I might have talked about this in different podcasts. There was a doctor one time, or there is a doctor, and he handled, I think, upwards of 300 NDE cases as patients. And the consistency of their stories is like 90%.
Mhm.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's all the same stuff every time.
Yeah.
Or same themes.
You know,
anyway.
walking in a field, the flowers are like alive. They can feel it. I mean, that itself kind of sounds like LSD, but
Yeah.
That's actually where I was kind of going with this. Is you hear people that do. Do you know what like Gnostics are? You guys
No.
familiar with that? I was actually listening to Third Eye Drops, which is a show that you turned me
Oh, yeah.
on to. I
Yep.
love that show.
Yep.
And he's a Gnostic, and kind of what their thing is they're Christians, but they basically believe that when Jesus came here, he came from God, who was like the one consciousness, and his whole purpose here was to remind humanity that they are also part of that energy. Like we're all kind of like the we're all one thing, but we're all have the divine spark, like the Bible says. We all have that in us. That was his true intent, and that was how he was saving us, was that he was like reminding us, like, you are of divinity, like you matter. So they, even though they're Christians, they have a little bit different view versus like a Catholic who would say you have to do the sacraments, you have to do X, Y, and Z. They don't believe you have to do anything per se to get to that state. You just have to basically just be a good person. So that's where that comes from. But when a lot of the Gnostics, what they do is they'll do LSD, they'll do a lot of these different DMT, like the mind altering drugs. And it's always been kind of interesting to me that the good people supposedly are using the same drugs that the bad people are, like the MK Ultra people, just for different purposes. And it makes me wonder if there's some kind of like divine meaning just in the molecule of like DMT or LSD.
Sure.
the ayahuasca stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for thousands of years, natives, which has DMT in it. I mean,
Yeah.
ayahuasca basically is DMT. So you have good and bad both using it to try to for a means to their own end. Is there something specifically special just about that? And was MK Ultra was part of that program trying to figure out how to harness that, like the divine power of what LSD, DMT, whatever?
Yeah.
Because it's all whether you can have a good trip or you can have a really, really bad trip
Yeah.
with acid, right? So is it the same way? Can it be used for good, and can it also be used for bad? And it's not really a positive or a negative. It's just a pathway.
It's very interesting to think about.
Yeah.
I just read a story about a guy, you know, the popular thing on like the ayahuasca trips, or that a lot of people say is you have to like, it's really hard to get to like where you break through,
Yeah,
because by the time you're supposed to take that next big hit, you're already too far gone.
right.
So you have to like power through, but that's where you break through and you're talking to entities and stuff.
Mhm.
And there's a pretty good consistency of like what the entity is when these people. So it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
They
so-
all see the same thing.
yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot to that, I think, to like try to psychologically unpack. Are we supposed to be going there?
Yeah, I've thought about it before, and like maybe a couple years ago, even like you hear people talking about this stuff, and it's like, gosh, I think I would want to try doing that just because it sounds like so interesting and like life changing almost. The more you think about it, it's like I don't know if we're meant to do that.
I know that's a hang up for me on a lot of this shit, you know, is
Meant to do LSD or
meant
Yeah,
to,
because
well,
you're-
meant to talk to those entities.
right? Is it good or bad?
Yeah.
It's not like you're making a phone call and you know where it's going. So it's like, are you interacting with like beings that are like don't have your best interest in mind?
Yeah,
Which
totally
I think
agree.
is,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have like a good trip like you're talking about, and you end up, you know, talking to these people and they treat you fine, and while you're in that situation or in that state, they could just be manipulating you.
They're grooming you. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just read a story about a guy who has been kicked out of that realm. Have you heard this?
No. Dude,
No, I've not.
It's I again, because we're way off topic or whatever, or on a tangent here, I don't have the data, but I just watched it on one of the streaming, Facebook or X or something like that. But anyways, he has done it and gone to that realm so many times. He said the last time, or one of the last times he went, they told him, "You're banned from here. You're never coming back." He cannot get high enough. It doesn't work anymore.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Why did he get banned?
I don't know.
Did they tell
I don't.
him?
They may have. I don't remember.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I guess it's not like it's provable. He could just say,
of course.
you know, but it's why would you make that up?
The one thing that I really like about the whole, yeah, I know, like the greatest lie. The people who did like DMT or whatever hallucinogenic, and then they use a laser.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
That's creepy. I mean, obviously, I've seen this and heard the story on many podcasts, and they have more information. It's better told, but for people listening that have never heard it, basically they take a laser level that you would, hang a shelf in your house.
Yeah.
They put some type of like magnifier so it diffuses it, so it makes it wider, so like maybe an inch or 2 inches wide on the wall. They take this drug, and then when they look at that laser where it hits the wall, they see code like hieroglyphs, like
like a matrix, basically.
Yeah, like crazy stuff. But with that, they can also see through the wall and beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they put their hand or whatever through that laser beam, the code changes. And it's like completely different. They can still see through it, but it's like
the code is like the laser as it interacts with you. The code changes because you're different than the environment around you.
Yeah, a different code,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You almost wonder if it's just like layered upon layered, and like your hand is making it that much closer. If you keep moving your hand, does it keep changing, or does it just stay the same on your hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've done that. They'll go to different areas of the laser, and like say they took one finger, it has the same code no matter where in the laser, and it doesn't change.
Okay.
That's so fucked up.
So that's I don't know. There's been some people who they seem relatively credible, that have tried it. Like these are like scientists and stuff like that who have tried it, and they have no explanation.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard on the same topic? And there was another person that was on Third Eye Drops. It was a couple of years ago now, but it's a scientist, and I think it's the same one who did some of those laser experiments. And what they're doing now is they're calling it extended DMT travels. And to talk about like what you were saying earlier, Zach, like, are we meant to do this?
Yeah.
Like, are you meant to be in the fucking DMT dragon realm for like 12 hours?
Probably not.
Like, most likely not. That doesn't sound good. But that's what they're doing, and that's how they've been doing some of those studies with the lasers, is they'll put people on a DMT drip.
Oh yeah, they extended.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and they'll have people in there for hours and hours, and I'm like, how do you not go insane? Because imagine, like, I've never done DMT, but you're in this crazy realm, and everybody that does DMT says it's like the craziest experience ever for like a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come back. What if you're in the craziest experience ever for like 6 hours?
Yeah.
Right.
And then you come back and you're like, which world is real?
Well,
like, is this real or was that real?
Exactly. Well, and that when people say they were in there for a minute or whatever the time frame is, it seems way longer. The experience is way longer. And if I have no personal experience with hallucinogenics, but if I had, time moves slower. It absolutely does. Like if you were going to take mushrooms, and this is what I've heard, time like feels way different. Like you will feel like you've experienced an hour, but it's been like 15 minutes.
Right.
So if it's that and he's there for 6 hours, it's probably like he lived a life there,
Right.
Or she, I guess, yeah.
It reminds me of the people you hear that they get knocked out. There was a dude, I can't remember his name, but he was in a coma for like 6 months or whatever, right? And he ended up finally waking up, and when he came to, he was crying, and they were like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? He had lived an entire life.
Oh yeah, I heard this story too.
And had a wife and kids and shit, dude. Like, and had grown old.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Like, imagine you are experiencing that and you're in a coma, and this is as real as like me and you guys standing here today, and like all that is this world that you're in, and you don't remember your past life. Like, you don't remember. and like your old wife, your old kids, whatever,
Yeah.
and you live in there for 70 years, and then you wake up and you're like a 30-year-old dude, and you still got to do all this shit.
Working at fucking Burger King.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yes.
For all our Burger King listeners out there,
Yeah, that
make a
would be
damn good
fucking-
flame broiled burger.
That would be
Yes, they're
terrifying.
the best.
Like, you know, you think of that, like, I can't imagine waking up tomorrow and my grandson wasn't real, or my son,
right.
or my wife,
Devastating, yeah.
or my guitars were real.
We got to get a good shot of all your guitars at
Yeah,
some point.
For sure.
One day, yes.
Yeah, Pat's really good at woodworking. I don't know if we've talked about that on the pod or not yet.
No.
Yeah, you can't see it, but there's a line of awesome guitars over here.
20 just in this room alone. We converted this room when we started the podcast from office / guitar hanging room into a podcast room.
That's awesome.
So, we are working. I know we've mentioned in the podcast, we're eventually going to try to do like a full studio. We're working on it, but this is our kind of our temp space, and we got it set up pretty good for the way we like it, but eventually we're going to try to do like actual like soundproofing and make it all really good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the future, we're
Well,
hoping for that. But
And just so the listeners are clear on this show is not for them. This show is for us.
100%.
So we're going through with this big thing, whether we have 2 listeners or 2 million.
This is awesome. Yeah, when
We love it.
for sure. When Gabe got talking about this at work, and I'm like, I could put a podcast on because he was sitting with me where I was at, and but I'm like, I listened to some really weird stuff, and he's like, dude, we just started a podcast about all that. And I'm like, shut up. But I was gonna go back to what you were talking about, Gabe, like people going through and having a whole life, like when they're in these states. It's kind of the same thing where I think the guy's name is John Burke, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but his last name is 100% Burke. He's been on a couple podcasts, and he deals with like the NDEs with people that are like going to like heaven or whatever, and like they're going through like a life review.
yeah,
You ever heard about that?
Yep, I know
mean,
what you're talking about.
And like some cases people hit like they just hit notes of their life, right? Like not the whole works, but they'll hit like, you know, a couple of certain instances. Or sometimes they'll go through their entire life
Yep.
from start to finish, and then they come back. Could you imagine that?
Oh,
Yeah, and it's like, if I remember right, if it was the same story that I heard, you're experiencing it, and you can experience it from someone else's perspective and like how you're affecting them.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it that way, and I heard it where you're just kind of seeing it through your own eyes yet again. But like, could you imagine like if you go through, like if something happens dramatic and you flatline and then you come back, but when you're flatlined, you go through an entire life review, and it's like as slow as life is for us.
Right.
Imagine going 40 years and then you come back and it's like, oh wow,
I see it. That like
you'd have to like remember your whole life all over again almost.
yeah,
Right.
it's creepy. I have heard that.
Yeah.
And it like for me it kind of cements home, and not that I would have any proof or whatever, but like time is just not real. It's just not real, like in the grand scheme of things. It's a human construct that somebody created, thought of. I mean, obviously we live a X amount of time, but eternally, like if I die today, I'm not going to experience time anymore unless I get reincarnated or whatever. I'm going to experience eternity.
Mhm.
So, what's that? There's a movie, Everything All at Once, Every Time.
No, I know what
No.
you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it. They're
It's-
terrible
it's-
names.
Yeah, me too. And it's something like that. Everything all. It's a really
I think it's
good movie.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Right?
Yes,
I
yeah,
believe.
and it's these people who can like jump into realities
Oh,
in a
wow.
certain distance, and it would the theory would be the Civil War is happening right now, just in a different reality.
It would make sense though, because like you hear people that go to like a Civil War battlefield or whatever, right? And they're there late at night. It's them and like a buddy, and they look off in the distance and they can hear cannons, and they see these ghostly figures of people fighting the Battle of Gettysburg, right, on the horizon. I've always wondered that if, well, I agree with you. Time is not real, and I think it's provably not real, at least from what scientists say. At least not in the way that like regular people think of it. Like time is not linear. I mean, they've never really thought that. But
I wasn't aware of that.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
like I mean, if time was linear, a black hole wouldn't warp it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like there's so many things that affect time. Like time even here on Earth can change depending on how close we are to the sun.
Yeah.
And like the way that gravity affects it. I mean, it's like minuscule, right? But so if time isn't linear, that therefore means that you could go, at least in theory, forward in time. And maybe back. Like we don't, or sorry, back for sure, maybe forward is what they've theorized. So, but what does back mean? You're not really going back, you're going
Two.
parallel to, right? That's like a destination, but that means that this could be happening at the same time as like when you were born or when you were born or whatever at any point in history. It's all just experiences and they're all just kind of on a timeline, but they don't necessarily have to happen one after the other. They just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the human mind is going back to God or that whatever your beliefs is. I don't think the human mind is supposed to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Like I think you're just supposed to accept like we're gonna do our best to figure it out, but we're never gonna know.
So when the original point you were going down, so are you saying like when people see ghosts or whatever, it's actually experiencing not that there's still
Just seeing a different timeline.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you're
That's
seeing
a really good way to think about it.
You're seeing it. You're looking through time, right? You're
So do
seeing
they think we're ghosts?
probably.
That's
I
a
mean,
good
you hear
point.
stories.
That's crazy to think of.
Yeah.
But
That somebody's like seeing us and they're freaking out in their house and like,
Yeah.
why is this dude wearing what is that hooded sweatshirt? What the fuck is that? Because we always say like we see some Victorian girl crying.
The old white dress.
Yeah.
They talk about the ghosts that wear the dark black hoodies. They must be in a cult. Funny.
It's such a hard topic to think about, but I mean, getting back to the main topic of MK Ultra, and like we talk about all the side stuff, and I think it seems like it's not related, but it is because these people had all the same thoughts. The people that ran these experiments and did this shit. So, is that what they were trying to find out? Because they did, remote viewing experiments. They tried to have people look forward and back in time. Were they just trying to weaponize it in the Cold War? Like in your cold open, talked about how it was all a response to Russia and China in the Cold War. Is that just the story they give to pitch the general public, or were they looking at something a lot deeper and spiritual?
sure.
Sure, it evolved. I mean,
And there's different people involved, right? So maybe some people had a different motive than
exactly.
others, but-
I think it's probably reactionary, like to them trying to prepare for that. But I mean, just like anything, you have so many cooks in the kitchen. Other people are going to have different. They're like, oh, we can do this. Well, now I got my own little side project of horrible stuff, and maybe some people who want to use it for good.
I hope so. I hope it's not all bad.
Yeah, right.
We tend to go a little dark on this podcast.
Yeah,
sometimes,
100%.
but
There's a lot of dark stuff going on.
Well, it seems like all the stuff they hide from you is not good.
Right.
Well, some of it is,
hiding
but
it.
like most of it is terrible.
This is way off topic, but when we were talking about like things going, underground or, to like the dark side or whatever in government, do you think there's actually like a literal underground, like with bases, like military bases, like underground and
100%.
cities?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. There's enough people that have came out and talked about being at those facilities and whether they were there for like a few years or like one visit, right?
Yeah.
Like it's been brought up and there was a lady, gosh, I forget her name too. I'm just like them. I'm terrible with names, but she was on a podcast talking about like the underground cities and stuff that have been built and like rail systems from like east to west coast.
I know
I mean,
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
I can't
she's
remember
like
her
a 50s
Yeah.
lady. God, what's her name? She's fascinating though. But she, Catherine Fitz.
Okay, yeah, that's it. But yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, like how they get away. The people that are like building these for them, like how do they not say something about it? I mean, maybe they have, and like we're just not local enough to like, hear it. But like,
Yeah. Well, they have a program like, I'm sure they sign NDAs that have horrible
Repercussions.
side effects.
Yeah.
And then when people do talk, they have all the control to make them look crazy,
I suppose. I mean, even so, if they're doing that too, another thing I'd heard about, there was like, it was another podcast. They were talking about a patent for like a nuclear drill that when it drilled, it pretty much just like vaporized like the material, so you don't have to drag it up to the top surface and go dump it somewhere.
That's fucking awesome.
That's
So,
pretty
like,
cool. Yeah.
So like in doing that, there's a patent on it. I can't remember where I heard about it, but that would make sense because it's like if you're doing dump truck after dump truck, could you imagine if like a rail system from like East Coast to West Coast, how much material you'd have to get rid of and where you could put it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably go to Louisiana because they have nothing but problems with the Gulf. But anyway, yeah, they don't do that. So it's like they're doing it a certain way to like be covert, if you will.
I thought about, Elon Musk. He's got all these companies, and one of them is called the Boring Company.
Oh yeah.
And then, but at least me personally, I guess I haven't really attempted to look into it, but you don't really have to look for Elon Musk news. It's, there.
Right.
I don't know anything about what that company does.
I think they're actually the company that was going to do the boring, like under
for high speed rail, right?
Yeah, like in LA or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So they do. I mean, I think they do more than just that, but like it's spelled different. But I think that's kind of the main big application he uses in that company. But
I think he made a comment one time that, really the purpose, at least for him, maybe not all the shareholders or whatever, but is when he lands on Mars, they're going to have to go underground. So he wanted to perfect.
That makes sense. And I've heard that too. Yeah, that 100% make the most sense.
Did you guys hear the least surprising thing to come out in the last 2 weeks? It was from Trump. They were talking about the White House remodeling. Have you guys?
Oh yeah.
And how they're building a fucking base under there. And he's like, yeah, it's like top secret. The military's building this huge bunker system under there. And
Oh, it's like, top secret. Nobody knows about it now.
Top secret, except for True Social.
Yeah. I know. I love his posts on there. It's like he's talking like directly to the people, but he's just saying like the craziest shit possible. It's so funny. But I'm like, you talk about bunkers and underground stuff. It's like, you might as well say it because we all know.
Right.
I mean, there's already bunkers under the White House that have been there since the 50s, 40s and 50s. So
right.
But like back to the bunkers thing and like underground cities and stuff, like there were a lot of these MK Ultra experiments. The people that talk about it say they were done in bunkers.
Yeah,
they were underground, and it was like so the CIA or whatever. It was a lot of Army intelligence too. It wasn't just the CIA because a lot of people miss that when we talk about MK Ultra is that they think it's just a CIA program. It was actually mostly Army intelligence, Navy guys, and DIA. And like some other like kind of parallel black groups. And literally when they found these archives, the only reason it's classified under the CIA is because during some of these commissions that came out in the 70s, like post-Watergate, where they were trying to assign blame, they literally just forced the CIA to take the archives because nobody wanted them.
Yeah.
So like all this shit, there's thousands of documents that got dredged up. Nobody would take them. The Army was like, nope, it's not ours. Navy was like, nope, it's not ours. So they were just like, all right, CIA, take the shit. So it wasn't just the CIA that was doing this stuff. It was the whole intelligence community.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard, this was a couple of years ago I heard it, but everybody's heard that they believe there's military bases underground and all that stuff. But there was a guy who was interviewed one time and he said he worked at Starbucks. And he was like on a podcast or some type of interview.
High profile dude.
Right. But they're like, well, which Starbucks do you work at? And he's like, well, the one that's under San Francisco.
Oh, I've heard this.
And he said that there's like, and it's for the wealthy. It's like, he said he's like, I could tell you Jerry Seinfeld's favorite coffee.
I have not heard this.
Yeah.
Is this recently? Or?
I think when I heard about it was like probably 6 months ago.
Okay. I heard the story a couple of years ago.
So is it like part of a whole complex? Is there like more shit?
It's like a highway, right?
Yeah.
So they can traverse without
said
being...
it's like a freeway, like an interstate.
Yeah.
And it has like restaurants and all that stuff, but it's only for the wealthy.
Well, that's what the Boring Company's doing then.
Right.
Shit like
Probably,
that.
yeah.
Honestly. I mean, they're still a company. They haven't gone bankrupt, and I haven't seen them fucking doing any public boring.
Right.
So they're getting money somehow, government contracts or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think, a lot of times when I think about, because I think there's definitely like underground, whatever. I'm trying to think of how to say this. Do you think a lot of that stuff was found or created? Like, do you think that we're just finding past civilizations who created it?
Oh, like mud flood?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I definitely think some of it's found. Yeah.
Do you think that we are missing like 1,000 years of our time?
Right.
Isn't that part of it?
I
Where
love this conspiracy.
where you're like at the year 800, they jumped it to like 1800. So there's like,
It had something to do with it was like a European king and the Pope got together and they wanted to be
Something about the century, right?
yeah, it was they wanted to be in power at the time of the 1000th year of Christ or whatever.
Right.
And they just they're like, wow, these peasants can't read. It's fucking cut out.
Then they gaslit them. We've been telling you the whole time it's the year 1000.
right.
But no, I believe that. Like rulers have done dumber, crazier shit than that. And what do they care? What do the peasants give a fuck what year it is and medieval whatever?
Oh, right.
Like,
They just go back to the fields anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? All they do is grow potatoes and fucking go to church, and they can't read, so then their priest, their pastor, or whatever, just tells them whatever they want them to think, and that's like the downside of religion. You talk about religion, like God, this is so, especially for like 1500 years, like Middle Ages, all that stuff. It was just a method of control.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing I had with religion when I was growing up is like I've always believed in God, but I always hated the methods of control of organized religion. I just despise it. Like
It's not for me either. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can go sit in a church service and you leave feeling way better, like I do.
100%.
But I'm not a fan of like sitting there. First of all, like like my morning ritual is like my time with God, and I love it. And I wouldn't change it for any Sunday morning with 1,000 people.
Right. So, and not all churches are bad.
No, right.
No, not at all.
But you hear stories about tons of churches that are culty and they try to make their members do a certain way, or like the supposed Christian sects that they have like their own village and like the pastor's the only one that can have sex with any of the women, like that crazy shit. It's been used for good and for bad since it became a thing.
Well, I can't think of her name, the spiritual guidance for Donald Trump for the White House.
Oh yeah.
That female, just seen a video of her, and she's up on there doing her preacher rally, and she said something like, "I'm not leaving here until there's $100,000."
Yes,
Oh
I
my
did see
gosh,
this. Yeah, she's doing a fundraiser or whatever.
And how do you? Yeah, there's just no way to justify that. No way.
Or like the mega pastors from the South, or what was it? I
man.
think it was during Katrina, where the dude wouldn't open up his
Church for people.
Yeah. And like, dude, you're not a real Christian. I don't know
No.
what to tell you, but there was tons of normal people that opened up their homes to help people, and it's not even your house, it's your fucking church.
Yeah.
Like, let them come in and sleep on the floor. Jesus Christ. Like, it just pisses me off so much.
When you're talking about peasants and you guys realize that's us right now in this timeline. We're
do.
the peasants.
We're just better off peasants.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
No. Like, you're going to go to work. You're going to do this. Everything you buy is going to have poison in it.
Yep.
That's us.
We were just talking about that the other day at work, Zach. How like we're talking about how mad we are at the current state of things, and like you just feel so helpless. Like we are.
Yeah, there's like literally nothing somebody like you or I could do to change anything, because there's so many like people with bad intentions at the top, because they're only worried about themselves and their friends, and you're not one of them.
I think a lot of people, and maybe this is part of the Great Awakening or whatever, but you just look at any type of social media over the last really probably 18 months, but the last few years, more people I think are turning to God than ever before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's because of that helpless feeling.
Yeah. That's
everything's bad.
Yeah.
And it is. So like for me, it's unplugging, and you and I talked about this one time. When you're just immersed with all this terrible shit that's going on, pedophiles and just whatever. It's easy to get wrapped up in that and get like it can cause depression, and it can like really mess with your mind. I think it's super important to just kind of like and just look at the world around you in your immediate vicinity. We got 3 friends sitting here. Like, life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not experiencing any like pedophiles coming after me. I'm not.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You don't ignore that stuff, but like to maintain, I think, sanity It's all about like just appreciate the type of stuff you have, you know.
Yeah.
For sure. And they know that too. That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah.
Is they know that for the average person, they can't do anything and they're just going to try to live the best life that they can. And that's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
Because what are we supposed to do? And that's what makes normal people angry is like, you want to stop this stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know that even if I get all my friends and family together, like, we can't stop that.
Right.
So you just have to concede that I'm just going to be a good person and live my life. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what other conclusion you can really draw from that other than just be the best person you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is way off topic, but I heard another really cool fact. You guys have heard about the guy, I can't remember if it was the 70s or 80s, but he made this invention to a carburetor and essentially got like 200 miles to the gallon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It like ran on just the fumes.
Yeah.
It was a special setup for his car.
And then he showed up to a diner to go over like plans, and then mysteriously he dies of a heart attack.
That literally left the diner and died on the street.
Yes. Yeah. So I haven't looked this up to verify it, but apparently there is a law on the books that if a patent carries more than 15% efficiency, the government owns it.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Same thing with solar panels. Like solar panel efficiency was capped at like 15 to 20% falsely for like 30 years. And there is patents for like 80, 90% efficient solar panels. They're all nationalized. So like the military, in theory, could use them. But
Infuriating, you know?
Yeah. I mean, usually patents are like 25 or 50 years, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think it's 25.
It's okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, what you're saying, yeah, I heard the same thing, and it was like they label it as it's national security or whatever, you know, like indefinitely, like not going to come out whatsoever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Until we run out of oil. I mean, because this is a side thing. They pump oil everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about like how much oil comes out of the earth? Like how much like
We were just talking about that.
giant caverns of like nothingness now that are like they used to be filled with oil.
So yeah, so I'm way out there with my thoughts on oil.
So yeah,
I don't think it's dinosaur bones. I think it's a natural resource.
Yeah,
I think it's probably unlimited.
Sure,
that's how I feel.
It could be a core process of like the mantle of the earth.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's a natural occurring resource. I think it is. I don't think it's like dinosaur bones. They've been gone for 90 million years or something.
Right,
I think what they say is it's like phytoplankton from the ocean or some shit. Whatever. Some ocean thing, and it's in all the places where the oceans used to be or whatever. But even still, I mean, how would it not be gone already?
Yeah. Right. I mean, just like in
pump
China. Where was it? China? I can't remember. Like the amount of oil, like they don't have like restrictions on refineries. Like there's some crude operations going on.
Like the amount of coal plants they like build like yearly is staggering.
Yeah,
it's like the whole coal fleet of the U.S. every year, and they're all in operation still. And then same thing that's why China leads in like heavy metal processing and like rare earth minerals, because like in the U.S. if you want to have a rare earth mining operation, you got to follow like strict EPA guidelines for disposing of the wastewater and the leach, and you got to have a whole leach basin to catch all the shit so it doesn't end up in the water table. They fucking dump that shit in the Yangtze River. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no.
Like
this type of stuff though, like it brings me back to like being younger and watching George Carlin. You ever watch any?
Oh yeah,
my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
Like this dude, he's like enlightened. I think like he was saying, a lot of this stuff that, really we're just kind of figuring out now or believing it.
Yeah.
But he was like woke back then. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, he was kind of considered almost a liberal when he was. And today he would be like a far right conspiracy theorist.
100% he would.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing is like it's hard to even talk politics with people about stuff like this because what they label you as changes depending on the climate around you. Mm-hmm. Like I would have probably been considered a Democrat like 15 years ago.
For sure.
You know, like I don't align with a party or anything like that, but it's they just label whatever they want to label you.
Yeah.
To try to put you in a group.
It's completely created. Like it's created by the government for division to maintain control. I mean, essentially, that's what I think.
Yeah.
One more thing that I wanted to talk about before we end today is go back to, we were talking about the underground cities, right? Have you guys heard the theory about like the parallel civilization? You guys heard this?
Maybe, I'm not
Or
sure.
breakaway civilization.
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like there's a few different words for it, but that's another thing that
Like
Catherine
beyond the
thinks
ice wall type of thing. That
Kind
one.
of.
Okay.
Or under Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere safe when they blow everybody up with nukes, they can go.
Right.
to
Oh
hell.
yeah.
But that's what Catherine Fitz was talking about in that same interview about how that's what she's trying to warn people about with like 6G. And I have it in our notes that we need to do an episode just on 6G.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about it a little
I don't know enough about it, so it'll give me a reason to learn some stuff.
Basically, they call it the control structure. And what it is that they're supposedly the elites of the world are waiting for the rollout of 6G because 6G will be the first internet like connectivity that will be able to support full spyware, like all the Internet of Things, all the cameras, everything, and it can directly the human body acts as an antenna for it. So
Wow.
that frequency specifically, they don't need like towers.
Well, no, then, I mean, if you think about that, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, like if your body responds to that frequency, then essentially they could read your mind.
Right.
They could tell how you're feeling.
No, exactly. That's
They could know whether you're sick or not.
right.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
But that's
That would be
where
like the Minority Report.
Yeah, right.
well, it's literally exactly what it is.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is cool. But that's where supposedly when all that comes out, the what she's trying to warn people about, Catherine Fitz, is that that's when they're gonna basically hold up the middle finger to the regular people, and they're just gonna go do their thing, and they're gonna wait for us to all kill each other. Supposedly, that's what I think is gonna happen.
And, it'd be funny is if that's their plan, and then
We just keep living our normal lives.
they realize there's actually peace without all these assholes running
Right.
things, and everybody just sings kumbaya and we all get along. So that's probably, I don't know. Like there'd be the chance of it would be if you take away control, things are going to get a lot better for people.
Yeah.
I would think. Do you think that your average American is just going to go kill Russians without some rich asshole being like, "Hey, you need to go kill Russians"?
Right.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Why Russians? Because they say they're bad.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Did you ever see, if this is a while back, I think it was during like the Ukraine war when it kind of kicked off or whatever, or it had been going for a few months. I think on Twitter or X, excuse me, Elon put on like a meme, and it was like the perfect meme. And it was I don't think he wrote anything. He just put this up. It was a picture of a chessboard, and all of like the pieces, like the rooks, pawns, all that stuff laying down. There's blood all over the board, and then the black and the white king and queen were sitting off on the side having dinner together. It's like just what it is. It's like we're just
Dude.
It's all entertainment.
we're pawns to them. Like there's nothing we can do. Like they're never going to get hurt. So their decisions have no repercussions for themselves.
It's I think that's pretty true, and I think it's real. Like, whether you like or don't like Donald Trump, it doesn't matter. But he's made comments about central casting a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And
Yeah.
basically, this is all a show. Like this shit's not real.
Right.
Like it's being created for entertainment.
Well, you ever see like the dinners, like fundraising dinners, where there'll be like Republicans and Democrats that are both there,
Yeah.
like on some committee or whatever, where it's a dual committee and there's both parties on it, and they're just like sitting next to each other, talking, laughing, bullshitting, and then like the next day they'll be in the House chambers, like screaming at each other, calling each other idiots, and this person's a scam or whatever, and none of it's real. You can tell, like you wouldn't be super nice and friendly with somebody that you genuinely thought was like a liar or a thief,
Right.
whatever. Because they're all liars and thieves.
Yeah.
Like they're an honor among thieves. Like they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the more I mean, this definitely wasn't. We didn't really want to get too political on the show just because there's so much.
Right.
And that's not what, we're not picking sides or whatever. That's, everybody can do their own thing. But it does make me think like the people who get ousted, they're probably the good guys.
Most likely. Like a
They're being-
Thomas Massey type.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
why does
Marjorie
everybody
Taylor
hate
Greene,
him?
like,
Yeah.
I mean, whether you agree with everything these people say or not, I think they're just people who can't be bought and paid for, so they kick them out.
Yeah. Tom Massey's like amazing. Like if he could run for president, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I vote for that guy.
If and you talking about the the sides and all that, like I wish that when people run for president, they didn't have a label. And
I
you're just
agree.
because I think people vote on the label. And I
Yeah.
think why don't you like see what their background is and what their thought is on this and that, and that's what you should truly vote for. That's what
I agree with that 100%.
because even like the last time, like when RFK, like you can pick whatever side you want. Like if he was basically a Democrat,
Mhm.
right? So like, and they wouldn't allow him to vote or run, but like he's somebody where. Like, I don't care what he goes as. Like, I would have, if he would have actually made it to the top, I probably would have voted for him because at the time I thought that he was probably the best choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to do instead of starting looking at the R's and the D's. We just got to look at like what the people like I believe in and stuff. You know what I mean? Which is really hard for people to do.
It's super hard. It's like 2 years ago, maybe as soon as 2 years ago, I would have never voted for. It was based on party for the most part.
Yeah.
And I just Then when you realize that they're in it together, you have to start voting for
it's a
people's
big
morality and
100%.
patience,
Yeah.
That's why you vote in local elections if you can.
Yeah.
So maybe you make the most difference.
which I missed this week actually.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Well, it is what it is.
School board,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
referendum.
Right.
But I know, Zach, I know you got to be getting out of here soon, so maybe we should call it here and wrap it up. We were like way off the rails on this one, but that's all right.
That's
the
right.
first episode.
Yeah, it's awesome.
No,
I think people should probably enjoy it because just the banter back and forth, jumping around. It's like what everybody does.
I know. It's some of my favorite.
That's how you talk with your friends outside of just normal shit.
But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. I'll probably release this as like a special episode just with the three of us, and I don't even know what I'll call it, but we'll get it up there. And I don't think we've picked our topic for next week yet.
No,
It'll just be a surprise. But thanks everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
See you next week.
See ya.